hope you are feeling well and comfortable. Because now I'm going to open a door to a different place, an infinite dimension that is rarely illuminated by anyone. In this space, sensible reality holds as much value as any imagined object. Get ready to embark on this journey with us. Here is the encounter with the extraordinary. The pending debts of Baron Ravencliff. The gypsies, with their colorful attire and penetrating gazes, seemed to know more than most people about the secrets of the region. They exchanged enigmatic glances and whispered words in a foreign tongue, casting a dubious air over what was happening. Gerard knew better than to underestimate the wisdom of the gypsies. They were known for their connection to the supernatural and the unknown. He had encountered them at a camp by the roadside, and they were particularly interested in his publican's cloak. While pretending to show interest in the trinkets and baubles they were selling, Gerard asked if they knew the Baron. For a brief moment, there was silence, and then so many voices spoke that Gerard could barely keep up. Baron Ravencliff had very peculiar tastes. He liked tall houses with multiple floors that rose majestically towards the heavens, as if challenging the very gods themselves. His mansion, perched atop a steep hill, was a true Gothic castle, with arched windows, massive stone walls, and some sinister gargoyles carved on the balconies. But what made Baron Ravencliff's mansion truly unique were his exotic and often unsettling collections. He had a fascination with objects and artifacts that most would consider strange or even macabre. One of the legends circulating in town was that the Baron possessed a secret room filled with mysterious antiquities, including African tribal masks, statues of unknown deities, and ancient scrolls with indecipherable writing. A replica of the Voynich manuscript written on Halicara leather, the Aladdin's lamp, which, they said, was hidden somewhere in the mansion, an original Samarkand carpet, a jade statue of Pallas Athena with emerald eyes, the Gurge's ring. The stories about Baron Ravencliff were as captivating as his mansion. It was said that he had traveled to every corner of the world in search of hidden treasures and ancient secrets. Some claimed he had made dark pacts with supernatural entities to acquire his knowledge. Others alleged he was a talented alchemist, dedicated to unraveling the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone. At night, when the moon hung in the sky, Baron Ravencliff's mansion became even more mysterious. Strange lights seemed to dance in the dark windows, and indistinct whispers floated through the air. The townsfolk who dared to venture near the mansion at night swore they could hear the sound of crows, as if the birds had made that gloomy house their lair. But the greatest mystery of all was the Baron himself. He was rarely seen in public, and his face was always concealed by a black cloak and a wide-brimmed hat. He was an enigma shrouded in secrets, and the whole town speculated about his true nature and dark objectives. The tax collector, a man with tired features and worn-out clothes, arrived at Baron Ravencliff's mansion, just as so many had done in the past. That gloomy place had become a dreaded visit among tax collectors because they could never find the Baron to demand the overdue taxes. Some said he had been dead for years, others that he had mysteriously disappeared. Gerard was the third collector in a year. He was aware of the risks he faced in accepting the mission to collect taxes from Baron Ravencliff. The two previous publicans had met a terrible fate, condemned to the gallows on charges of robbing the crown. In the Empire, It was nearly impossible to escape such a serious accusation, even if it was unjust. However, Gerard was in a desperate situation. His wife was in custody in the cathedral infirmary, recovering from a devastating trauma. Both had suffered greatly from the abrupt loss of their first child, a pregnancy that had ended tragically. The emotional and physical trauma had left his wife in a weakened state, requiring constant care from the nuns. He would wake up in the early hours, knowing he wouldn't be able to sleep. In the silence of the journey, his heart echoed with the absence of the baby's cry. He never got to hear. Every empty crib was a painful reminder of a future that would never come to pass. He blamed himself for not being able to protect his wife and the child who never saw the light of day. After all, it was his duty as a husband and father to ensure the well-being of his family, and he felt he had failed in this fundamental aspect. He knew his wife was going through a slow process of recovery, both physically and emotionally, and he couldn't abandon her at this critical time. So he assumed the role of an unrelenting publican and climbed the mansion stairs. The mansion was abandoned. The massive front door opened easily, and apart from the sound of the waves on the rocks, there was only silence. He called several times, and as he waited for a response, things seemed quieter than before. He stepped back, looking around the mansion, and there were no marks on the ground. He provided water and food for his faithful horse. He checked the weight of the bags the animal carried and removed some to let it rest. His lower back also ached, a burning pain, like an open wound. He had been traveling for 3 days to an uncertain destination. He thought about Baron's reputation, his mysteries, and how everything surrounding him was unpredictable. The interior was as extravagant as the facade, with luxurious furniture covered in a layer of dust that indicated long neglect. The place smelled of damp wood. There were no crows, as the gypsies had mentioned. As he explored the rooms, the tax collector came across a long spiral staircase adorned with biographical portraits of unknown figures. He wondered which of those portraits represented the enigmatic Baron Ravencliff. In every corner of the mansion, he found interesting antiquities, but he knew these pieces would not be accepted as tribute. What he needed was gold or silver, or perhaps land certificates. The long spiral staircase led him to the top of the mansion, where a spectacular view of the sea stretched before his eyes. For a moment, he imagined what it would be like to live in that grand mansion, but the reminder of his duty made him continue the search for tribute items. Descending again, the tax collector roamed through rooms whose purpose was a mystery, as they were neither bedrooms, nor living rooms, nor kitchens, nor bathrooms. An entire floor filled with a library, with dusty shelves and books that did not pique his interest. Many lamps still had oil, and he lit them as he went, as if he were doing something good for the place. As Gerard continued to explore the dark interiors of Baron Ravencliff's mansion, he came across a gallery of statues that defied description. They were large, sized works of art displayed in shadowy niches, each one more enigmatic than the last. The statues had faces that seemed to peer at the observer, with expressions frozen in mystery and wisdom. Some appeared to represent historical figures, while others had such exotic features that it was impossible to identify their origin. Each of them seemed to whisper long, forgotten secrets. Among the statues, Gerard noticed headless busts, which added a nostalgic touch to the collection. They were like fragments of the past, silent witnesses to events that had disappeared into the mists of time. But what caught his attention the most were the representations of Eastern gods. Majestic figurines with meticulously carved details depicted deities from distant and unknown cultures. There were gods with multiple arms, intertwined serpents, and enigmatic faces that seemed to gaze directly into the soul of the beholder. Each statue seemed to contain its own story, a story that Gerard could barely begin to comprehend. He felt like an intruder in an ancient sanctuary, surrounded by images that invoked a world of beliefs and myths he barely understood. He had the feeling of being small in that large, abandoned environment. Tired from the horseback journey, he decided to take a break. He sat in a large, comfortable armchair, unable to resist, closing his eyes and relaxing. When he woke up, the sun was in a different position. He felt eager and refreshed. The mysterious atmosphere of the mansion was easing his tension, and he began to feel more at ease. As he continued his exploration, Gerard thought that Baron Ravencliff's mansion was a place of deep secrets. Every step he took led to stranger and more intriguing discoveries, and he began to wonder if the truth about the Baron and his mansion was beyond the comprehension of men. Having visited all the upper floors, Gerard descended. It was when the staircase took him beyond the entry level that things began to change. The colors shifted. The texture of the stones was different, and the scent was more pleasant. He heard a sound, a distant murmur that seemed impossible in the apparently empty underground. Curious and uneasy at the same time, he followed the sound until he found an ornate door that yielded easily. On the other side of the door, he entered a chapel, a place that seemed to have escaped the abandonment that had taken hold of the mansion. The air there was damp and heavy, and the tax collector felt a chill run down his spine as he heard the sound again, now closer and distinctly agonizing. His hand held the lantern, while the other alternated between the sword hilt and the objects he was investigating. The sound seemed to come from behind a curtain in the chapel, and he approached cautiously. With a sudden movement, he pulled aside the curtain and revealed a narrow, dark corridor. The corridor seemed narrower with each step. Walking sideways, his nose almost touching the wall because of how suffocating it was, the tax collector felt his desperation grow. He considered that he might get stuck or not be able to pass back, but the sound, now clearer, seemed less threatening than he had imagined. He advanced, relieved when he reached a circular room with strange symbols drawn on the floor. In the center of that circle was something that left him speechless. A baby, swathed in dirty clothes and seemingly abandoned. Gerard's heart raced as the baby, who'd been emitting a distressed whimper until then, suddenly stopped crying. He was stunned, holding the lantern with a trembling hand as he looked at the child wrapped in dirty clothes. The baby's eyes, which had been filled with tears and despair, met Gerard's eyes. And then the baby smiled. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Leave your thoughts in the comments and share your opinions with us. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Stay tuned for more incredible stories and interesting videos. Until next time.